if you have a reaction, you feel worse on something like like you said, serrapeptidase or maybe nattokinase or lumbrical kinase, you could be onto something. And as you mentioned too, you don't want to just live on these enzymes and not get to the root cause. So for me, I really do think Babesia has been a big one for me, because when I'm taking herbs to address Babesia, I find that the circulation is much better. For some people, it could be Bartonella. They call it small vessel disease. If you look into PubMed, you could look up small vessel disease Bartonella. This is an infection that can come from ticks, but it can very, very easily come from cats. Many cats, like 90% of cats, have Bartonella. And if they scratch you, you can get Bartonella from your cat. You can get it from fleas. So there are other vectors that can transmit this. So some people say, oh, I never had a tick bite. It doesn't matter. I've seen many people with Bartonella, likely from their cats. And so you may want to come in with herbs and knock out Bartonella while you're working on the fibrin. And I know you and I use a product that's a mixture of serrapeptidase and ginger and boswellia and turmeric. So we kind of work on the inflammation piece and the fibrin piece at the same time. And it's a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Any of my patients listening know that I'm always using ginger tea, right? So I've kind of taken the ginger tea recipe, which is, I think it's pretty famous in the GAPS protocol. And I've used that, and I've added in a lot of the Manuka honey because it's very soothing on the gut. And it has some mild antibacterial properties and anti-inflammatory properties for the gut. And so I do that with a lot of my patients because it soothes the tummy. It is an anti-biofilm, so it allows any of the herbs that I'm using with my patients to knock any bugs down. It helps make the herbs stronger, and it's anti-inflammatory, and it's also an anticoagulant. So the anti-inflammatory anticoagulant just allows better blood flow. Better blood flow allows those herbs to kind of work better and be transported throughout the body. And then it also prevents the lymph from being congested. So it just allows things to be kind of moved around and excreted from the body. And so you have to move things through the liver, through the kidneys, through the gut. And so we need to have that good movement to allow things to work appropriately. So that's really, really important out of the gates. And then also working with a lot of Lyme patients or co-infections, all that plays a major role. I would say other herbs you can use are things like bacopa, ginkgo is also amazing. You could do things that have nitric oxide support in there, like beetroot. These are all, beets are excellent. You can get beetroot powder. That's very helpful at supporting blood flow. Things like resveratrol are also very good, right? Antimicrobial, but also really help with good blood flow. So that's excellent as well. Cat's claw can be really good as well, because anytime it has antimicrobial, antioxidants, and then it reduces inflammation, that naturally tends to improve blood flow. So better blood flow is good. So we can, have good circulation to the hands and feet. We're carrying nutrition better. We're carrying more of the herbs to help whatever the microbial imbalance is. And then we're supporting lymphatic flow of all the dead debris out. It has to move out through the body, get circulated to the lymph, go back to the kidneys and the digestive tract to be excreted out. So those are some really good herbs that we'll also use. Skullcap's also really good as well. We mentioned turmeric, which is really good. And then outside of that, adaptogens can be very powerful too, because if we have lots of cortisol from inflammation and stress, cortisol is also going to cause things to not move as well, because it's there, it's responding to inflammation, but it's also going to slow down a lot of blood flow. And so if we can, and this is kind of more in a chronic scenario, right? Not talking acute, I'm talking more chronic. Because acute, there actually is acute blood flow to an injury, because that's how the body's trying to heal stuff. It's trying to dry blood level. That's why when you bump your elbow, it gets swollen, right? There's increased blood flow. We're talking about more cortisol chronically. And so we'll use things like adaptogens, whether it's rhodiola or ashwagandha, to really calm down that chronic stress response and really get it kind of modulated to help improve cortisol, which then helps with blood flow long-term.
Yeah, you made a great point.